Hi, I'm Alum.
Hi, this is Dionysus.
Hi, I'm Kyle.
And hi, this is Breaker, and you're listening to Magic Hour, a podcast about all things Treasure DAO.
By the way, completely random, but did anyone mint their, or did anyone get any other deeds in this madness of lands?
I want to talk to you about this after the pod, Breaker. I'm going to need some help. I'm going to buy some Yuga land.
Yeah,
Nice.
I get one for free. I did not mint any, but I need to claim mine. I still have not. I tried to claim it yesterday, but the website wasn't letting me, so I'm gonna.
Oh, is it with the BOIC or
Say again?
is it because you have
You have
because you have a Bored Ape?
Yeah. So I own this
Nice.
Bored Ape in my profile picture here. It's like kind of like donning knight armor, but
Ooh,
I split it with my brother. So yeah, we've had that since like October.
oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
no.
Wow,
Nice.
good for you.
Thank
Good for you.
investment.
I know it was a lot of commitment at the moment. It was like 38 ETH, but definitely happy with that purchase. And
Oh yeah, that definitely
for sure.
treated you well then.
For sure. All right, guys. How's everybody doing here? It's another podcast episode of the Magic Hour. Alum, Dion.
Doing good, man. I'm doing awesome. There's a lot of stuff that's starting to come out again. I feel kind of feels like a nice fresh start back into the spaces and stuff like that, with just a bunch of news and just a lot more excitement coming forward into the spaces. So I'm excited. I'm excited for what's to come.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also have a guest with us today. Flook is joining us from the Knights of the Ether team. We're going to speak with Flook in just a minute, but you might hear him chime in as we go through the news and notes. But speaking of which, let's do that right now. Alum, what's on your news and notes this week?
Yeah. So for the news and notes, first thing first. So Bridgeworld 2.0 is going to be releasing soon. As a matter of fact, within depths of that, we have Questing 2.0 that's also going to be coming out very, very soon, which we got an announcement today. And that's going to be releasing, as far as I believe, on May 9th. And so that's honestly really, really cool. I'm glad to see that.
That's I think the day that this episode drops. So you might be playing Bridge World while you listen to the Magic Hour pod.
Yeah, you're right. And I'm pretty sure you have to stop questing as well by a certain date for those listening. So yeah, so you want to stop questing by May 7th, and if you're listening to this, and hopefully you did. And Questing 2.0 is releasing as well, which is pretty cool. So again, lots of stuff coming out. And for Realm, again, hopefully you unstaked your Realm as well, and you're heading over to the Magic Refinery now, which is a new whole section part of Realm, which I'm very, very excited to, talk about eventually as well, because I feel like there's going to be a lot more stuff coming out with that. And then we have our small, big announcement by Corel himself. It was massive. He had a lot of stuff to say. I feel it was definitely a good message that was given out to the small community, and I feel like it definitely did bring towards more of a positive sentiment towards the community, as well as I feel like a lot of people were happy to see what Corel was saying as well.
Is Corel a man? I don't know.
He or she.
Man.
I actually don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know either. I actually thought it was a female, but cool. Anything else, Alum, or are we going to move on to Dion?
No. I feel like there's gonna be a lot more stuff later on to talk about, but I'm good on my side.
Cool. Dion, what about you? What's your news and notes this week?
So for my news and notes, I'd like to quickly draw attention to Treasure's Tip 13. It's their most recent improvement protocol, and I encourage, just generally speaking, all listeners to participate in these governance discussions and let your voice be heard. In short, Tip 13 is taking a pretty big step towards realizing the vision of the interconnected metaverse within the Treasure ecosystem, and with the tip, they're looking to build one of the first bottom-up AAA NFT and Web3 game studios. So the tip proposes Treasure DAO would divert up to $1.9 million over a period of about 9 to 12 months to seed the development of the game, which is codenamed Project Bilbo, which is a funny name. Now, where exactly is that money going? So those funds, again, up to 1.9 mil, would allow Treasure to team up with the Strider DAO and a former lead designer from one of the world's leading MMORPGs. I'm not entirely sure which MMORPG it is, but those two entities would be teaming up with Treasure to help build this gaming studio. The end result would be a playable vertical slice, which they define as a non-optimized, feature-complete run-through of the core gameplay, leveraging actual game art. So I kind of think of it as completing the main story arc, but maybe not all of the side quests.
Awesome. I'm going to be honest. I haven't participated much in Treasure DAO governance, but I feel like I definitely want to vote on this one. I think this is quite an important proposal, so I'm going to look into this further. Thanks for sharing that.
For sure.
My news and notes for this week is not necessarily Magic related, but tangentially, and I think I do this fairly often. For me, what I was kind of glued to this week was what was going on with DeFi Kingdoms, which if you're in the Magic ecosystem, typically we kind of look to DeFi Kingdoms as kind of a comparative project that a lot of us follow. They have the Jewel token. They do questing as well. And it seems like recently the devs have been accused of basically insider trading, dumping Jewel tokens, kind of hiding a wallet that had a lot of the treasury for the developers, and then kind of maybe lying about it or saying it was a friend's wallet, trying to kind of deflect. And I know that the community isn't very happy with them right now. And it just goes to show you how quickly, the participants in an ecosystem can turn on you if you're not being an honest and open development group. So, I think that it just reminds me how grateful I am for the teams that are working in this space, how big the space is becoming, how many different projects are working on Treasure, and how it feels like everybody's working together for the most part. And that's what I like to see. So, it sucks for what happened in DeFi Kingdoms, but maybe some people who are kind of working in there will flock to Treasure, or maybe we'll find some developers coming over to the Treasure ecosystem out of this. So there might be a silver lining there, but I hope that they can sort it out too. This could be a defining moment for DeFi Kingdoms, and it could potentially kill the entire project.
Absolutely. I've seen the ripple effects through the communities and how it even affects certain Magic community members too. So hopefully it gets worked out.
Yeah, hopefully. But enough about news and notes. Like I said, we have Flook here from Knights of the Ether. Flook, is that how I pronounce your name?
Yes, that is correct. Thank you so much for having me on, guys. Happy to be here.
All right, we're happy to have you. And for listeners out there, Flook is the founder of Knights of the Ether. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Co-founder alongside my brother, Dubber.
Okay, cool. Co-founder, and welcome to the pod. We've got a whole bunch of questions we wanted to ask you. We want you to tell us about your project. So without further ado, I'm going to let Dion take us away. Dion?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Flook. I want to say that you're the first NFT founder that we've ever had on the podcast. So that is a first. And I don't say that to add any pressure to this in any way.
But man, all the pressure, my shoulders just sunk. No, well, that's great. I'm so happy to be here. So
that's awesome. So I guess to just start off here, we would like to know a little bit more about you. One of the questions generally is, what was your journey into crypto like? How did you find it, and what gets you excited about it?
Yeah, definitely. So, we can kind of do the journey into crypto, and then like kind of how that transitioned into NFTs as well as a main focus. Crypto, I first kind of stumbled upon on Reddit back in 2017. I guess Ethereum I stumbled upon in 2017. Bitcoin, I had, heard some rumblings in 2013 and kind of didn't really ever check it out, but knew about it. In 2017, I got into Ethereum through Reddit and kind of, I'm a total autodidact. Anything that's kind of new and interesting and innovative like that, I want to go teach myself about it. I want to go learn more. So I immediately, bought some Ethereum, kind of really got into kind of what the narrative was and the culture. And pretty soon after I bought some Ethereum, we had that kind of like early 2018 crash. And, my claim to fame, I guess, is that I didn't sell any of it during that time. And I, held on to it, and I, added to some bags, bought a couple other coins like Chainlink that ended up doing really well, and held most of my kind of crypto stuff and did some trading with it all the way through to 2021 summer, and kind of pivoted into NFTs when I found out about NFTs. That moment, sold a lot of my crypto holdings and was like, okay, I think I want to go kind of full time into the NFT space.
I have a question first. You used a word that I am not familiar with, but sounds exactly like what I am. Autodidact. I had never heard that
Yeah,
before.
yeah. So autodidact is like self-teaching, like someone who is really interested in like teaching themselves things. Yeah, like a self-starter. Yeah.
Okay, I can definitely align with that, and I would say that your story rings very similar to my story as it relates to crypto. I also kind of discovered it on Reddit and just like, but for me it was like 2013, but it was Bitcoin, but it was the same thing. I was like, I have to learn more about this. I have to understand how this whole thing works, and it took me like 2 or 3 times in the white paper to really grasp the idea of it. But once it clicked, I was like, holy shit.
This is cool.
Yeah, that's super interesting. You mentioned that in 2017 with Ethereum, you kind of jumped into the narrative, which sounds like you were a little bit more tech first, as opposed to just treating cryptocurrency as a vehicle to make money, which again is a good thing considering the 2018 crash that you just mentioned.
Right,
But
right. I would say I got into it more from an investment standpoint from the start,
okay,
but I was definitely not so much on a just like, I'm just investing in this and just watching the chart. I'm investing in this because I do think the narrative of what the technology can be and what the kind of innovation that it can bring interested me more. So that was kind of a bit of both, I would say.
absolutely. And with that, I think a lot of people that have an appreciation for the technology, the breakthrough technology that is cryptocurrency writ large, do do you have aspirations to be in Web3 full time? Are you in Web3 full time, or do you have another job outside of this?
Yeah, so I am in Web3 full time. I have been since 2021 summer. And yeah, it's great. I mean, I can't imagine having another job while trying to run a full NFT collection at the moment. I wish I had more time for like the NFT space in general too, but yeah, definitely happily full-time Web3, and let's, fingers crossed it stays that way for a long time. That's the hope.
Yeah, no, definitely. So summer 2021, almost a full year ago. What made you want to start an NFT project so quickly, and how did you come up with Knights of the Ether?
Yeah, so, it was pretty quick. There wasn't much time between me finding out about NFTs and thinking, wow, I would love to start an NFT collection. And part of that was, the first NFT collection I bought. I'm not going to name drop, even though I think it's not even around anymore. It was a total rug. The seeing the community switch from like euphoria to, all out FUD in a Discord was just crazy to see. And I saw both the potential and the way that the potential was not being put to use within the NFT space. I saw how many kind of projects were slapped together, how there wasn't much direction around them, how they were being kind of run as very short-term things, as short-term businesses, as short-term kind of capitalizations. And so pretty quickly, I was like, I think I can do this better. I'm really interested in cryptocurrency. I'm really interested in blockchain. I love the kind of investment and tech side of it. But also at my heart, I'm like a creative person. I was a music producer for a long time. I got my English degree. I like writing. I'm totally into the fantasy genre. And so I felt that this was a good kind of intersection of my interests and that I could bring a lot of value to creating an NFT collection. And so that kind of leads into why Knights of the Ether, why this specific collection. And that's just because I'm a total fantasy nerd, Lord of the Rings, Gene Wolfe, all these sorts of films and books and graphic novels, totally captured me as a kid and have been kind of a passion of mine for most of my life. And Knights just felt like very like composable with the different pieces and the way like a kind of NFT is structured with these different layers and things that kind of merge together and randomize. Knights with their kind of, I can't think of the right word for it, but with all their kind of interchangeable armor pieces felt like a really cool way to go about that. And it was something that I hadn't seen before. So that was kind of the impetus there.
I was going to ask, what's your favorite fantasy series as it relates to like books or movies or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, okay, it's kind of a deep cut, but it's called The Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe. It's like this kind of 5-book tetralogy. I don't even know how to pronounce that, but 5 books. And it's kind of like literary fantasy. So it's like a little more highbrow. I don't know, like English major here. I like reading kind of complicated stuff, but also Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, total classics. Yeah, I like a lot of, like graphic novels and stuff too. But yeah, Gene Wolfe would be my main choice. If anybody was looking for a great fantasy novel, go check out Gene Wolfe. Yeah.
Enough about you, Flook. Let's dive a little bit more into Knights of the Ether. And because we have the pleasure of having you on, I know that we've talked about it in previous episodes, but I would love, just straight from the horse's mouth, what is Knights of the Ether, or straight from the knight's mouth, maybe? What's like your elevator or bar pitch?
Right. Okay, so Knights of the Ether, the NFT collection, is 4,000 knights residing on the Ethereum blockchain. And there's kind of a companion collection, which are the squires, and those were airdropped to all knights holders, a few weeks ago here. And those are NFTs that quest on L2 Arbitrum in a similar fashion to Bridge World. And they are kind of inventory managers. They go out on a few different quests, and they bring back things like rings, potions, and trinkets, and fief as well, our token. And they're kind of a precursor and a parallel portion of what is our main game that happens mostly off-chain. And that comes out later. We can talk about timing later on in the pod here, but that's kind of a deck building roguelike game, which is a player versus environment. One player, you move through these kind of 3 acts. And those are the 2 kind of separate pieces of Knights of the Ether. That's the really quick, 1 minute overview.
No, that's fantastic. I think you hit on all of the major points and that is a good transition into our next question about, this is on both layer 1 and layer 2. Can you explain why you wanted the NFTs spread across multiple layers?
Yeah, definitely. So, having a play to earn game on layer 1 is a pretty high barrier of entry to anybody who can't spend, $15, $20, $30, whatever it may be on the gas fees for every single transaction. So having an on-chain play to earn game on layer 1 was never really in the cards. It was always kind of a question of which layer 2 would we put the kind of on-chain game on. And so the Arbitrum was our choice there. And then there's kind of a secondary reason as to, some people ask, why don't you bridge Knights over to Arbitrum as well? The kind of reasoning there is that if we leave these main characters on L1 and then we have their kind of support class on L2, it keeps this constant kind of pipeline open for bringing new L1 wallets or L1 users into the L2 ecosystem, whether it's, just the Arbitrum ecosystem or the treasure ecosystem in general. And it's really important to kind of bridge that for people. And it's so much quick value for people who maybe buy one of our, pieces on OpenSea, say, hey, set up your Arbitrum wallet, and you're going to have these kind of support classes or this like ability to quest and get value for yourself almost immediately on L2. And so it's an easy way to kind of bridge people over and kind of facilitate that process on Arbitrum's behalf.
That's really cool. I like that approach.
Yes, no,
to using L1 in that way. Dion, if you don't mind, I just have one follow-up to that is, of all the L2s, why did you choose Arbitrum over, say, Avalanche or Polygon or any of the others?
Right. Yeah. So the kind of funny answer is that like the small brains community bullied us into it. They were pretty effective. They hard sold that. So early on, in our whitelist days back in like December, we had a lot of small brains kind of make their way into our Discord. I'm not sure how they kind of first got connected with us, but we gave out free whitelist spots to all small brains and swole bodies holders. And our first AMA in Discord, we were talking about our play to earn, and that, we were thinking, for our layer 2, we hadn't decided yet, but maybe Polygon. And we had multiple small brains come up on stage and be like, why not Arbitrum? Why not Arbitrum? And so, that was the first time I'd heard of Arbitrum, and immediately I did some more research on it. And it made a lot of sense, especially because one of the first things I came across was Treasure DAO and the ecosystem that they were building, I remember I think it was the night after we did that Discord AMA, I was laying in bed reading through the Treasure, or maybe it was the Bridge World white paper or the Treasure DAO Git book or something. And I was just like, this is so cool. This is like very in line with, there's like the fantasy aspect and the questing, but it was just very in line with like both the kind of the ethics behind it or like the ethos behind Treasure DAO and the aesthetic as well. And so we thought that would be kind of a natural fit.
Wow, that's incredible. So, you finding Arbitrum and Treasure and Magic is more of a function of the community coming to you, finding your project, and I guess, like you said, bullying you into it. Is that
right?
That's
yeah,
incredible.
Bully is maybe a harsh word, but
sure.
it definitely, it gave us a lot to look into, or it really put the wheels in motion, because we saw this huge community coming in and kind of being proponents of Arbitrum. And like, that's such a good sign when you have all of these community members coming in of their own volition saying, you should really try out this ecosystem, try out this chain. There's a lot of cool things happening. And, community is such a huge part of an NFT collection. So that definitely, caught our eye and was the reason that we eventually made our way over to Arbitrum. Yeah.
As mentioned before, there are two kind of buckets of NFTs. There's a bucket on layer 1. There's a bucket on layer 2. So what is currently available for participants as of today, right now? What can we go do? And what questing is available? What things like that?
Yeah. Okay. So nothing is available on layer 1 for the Knights at the moment. Right now, what you can do is if you own a Squire, you can go to our Squires page and quest specifically to just the forest. We're kind of in this soft launch phase right now where we've, put our contracts out, and you can quest to the forest and send out, one of your 4 different Squires, which are luck, wisdom, strength, and faith. And they will bring back fief from the forest. The forest is kind of just the fief generator. There's other stuff on the horizon, but real quick, I'll talk a little bit about what kind of Squires are in general, if that's okay. Yeah, and so there's 4 types of Squires, like I said. Each of them have a natural affinity for one of the 4 separate stats, which are what I said: luck, wisdom, strength, and faith. And those stats have kind of changed the way you interact with the questing ecosystem. So, for example, a strength Squire has more of a chance to receive an upgrade in his strength stat when he comes back from every quest. He has a chance to receive an upgrade for any of his stats, but he's more likely to receive a strength upgrade. And once he hits, say, level 10 strength, he's going to have a higher base fief that he can come back with from the forest. When he hits level 20 strength, he'll have an even higher base fief strength or base fief amount that he can come back with. And then for luck, it's a similar thing where they'll have a higher percentage chance of bringing back rarer items from the cavern and the mountain, which are 2 other questing locations. Wisdom has the ability to kind of barter better with the shops and gets better prices for upgrading things within the shops. And faith has a better return on upgrading their own stats when they go to the temple. The temple is this place where you go to where you aren't guaranteed a stat upgrade, but you have about double the chance of receiving a stat upgrade. So there's a trade-off between these 4 different questing sites where am I going to farm fief? Am I going to find items? Or am I going to upgrade my stats so that later on in the game, I'll have a better chance of doing those aforementioned things?
Nice. And as you mentioned, currently only forest questing is available for Squires, correct?
Yes. By the time this podcast releases, there might be both cavern and mountain available. That's kind of around our timeline, but yes, so probably just forest, maybe cavern and mountain by the time people are hearing this. Yeah,
that's incredible. So I personally have 8 Squires. I love questing them every day. I am stacking that fief. I'm having a great time. I love the UI. Well, you mentioned you in music production. Did you make the music in the background?
No, I did not. Okay. It is not quite my specialty, the type of music there. I think at some point I will take that kind of bass music that we have and flip it in my own direction. We also are going to have a couple other music options coming up. I think Preems from Smallville Sound. Some people might be familiar with him. he's going to flip that and turn it into kind of his own more kind of like lo-fi hip-hop version to have. So yeah, as a music person myself, we're going to have a few different music options for you guys to choose from up there.
Do I need a knight in order to quest with the squire, or are they independent?
Yes, so that's a good question. You need at least one knight, and we're actually implementing this. This isn't live yet. Here's a little alpha for the Magic Hour, but based off of how many squires and knights you have, there's a formula where basically you can get better probabilities of returning with more fee for more items based off of kind of the ratio of knights to squires that you have within your wallet. So like the best ratio is 1-to-1. Say you have 8 squires, you want 8 knights to get the kind of best probabilities. And that just kind of fits in lore wise. A squire does his job better, does his or her job better if they have their own knight to attend to. So
Historically accurate and fun.
yes.
Nice. Okay. So currently we can quest in the forest, and then there's a potential for us to quest in a couple other places by the time of release. On that similar vein, looking forward, what's on the horizon that has been announced? And then here's where we're going to fish for a little bit more alpha. Has there anything that's not been announced that you feel comfortable telling us or teasing?
For squires specifically, or for kind of the whole ecosystem?
The entire ecosystem. It's a broad brushstroke question.
Okay. Well, something fun that we haven't really touched on before within the Squires kind of universe is that there'll be some things like temporary quests with partner collections. Specifically, the first one is going to be partnering with Magic Dragon DAO, and there's going to be kind of a dragon spotted off in the distance. It'll be kind of a temporary 2-week quest. I think the dragon is going to, offer up some prizes from their end, but also on our end, there's going to be these kind of rare dragon scales that, function as an item in our deck building game later on. But the fun kind of trade-off here is that, so you're going to hopefully steal a scale from the dragon while it's sleeping, but there's a chance that the dragon wakes up and scorches your squire, and you don't get to quest with that squire maybe for about a week. We haven't landed on exactly the amount of time there, but so there's a bit of risk versus reward, and then there'll only ever be 500 of the dragon scales, so you're definitely kind of motivated to send your squires out there early and often to get, your portion of those scales. But hey, you might come back scorched and then you can't send that squire off for another week. So we're doing fun things like that, temporary quests. We're also looking to bring some more L1 collections in and do some kind of partner quests with them as well. You guys might have seen this kind of Dowdon's key. I don't know if you guys have heard of Dowdon, probably have.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to do kind of a partner quest with them at some point here in May as well, where if you hold both a Dowdon access card and a Knight and a Squire, you'll be able to go out to this kind of specific quest where there's a high chance for you to get one of these Dowdon keys, or the Don's key, I think is what it's called, and that's an item in our game later on as well. So yeah, partnership quests. We're going to do some really cool stuff in the town. The town is kind of this area you can't go into yet, and we haven't really released any info about what's there, but it's going to be kind of some more interactive storytelling things, some more kind of like quick fire quests, maybe a little like tavern, dice gambling mechanic, something fun like that. Yeah, we have a lot we're planned. It's, the way we've built it is that it's this really fun, iterable sandbox in which we can implement a lot of cool, creative, new things to keep people coming back and having fun and engaged.
No, it sounds like a lot of fun, to be honest. I hope that you guys get to deliver on all these different features, and it's great that you're working with Magic Dragon DAO, because they were hinting at stuff like that when we spoke with them on the previous pod, and hearing what you guys are working together on is pretty cool in my book.
Yeah. The guys over there are great. Yeah. And, kind of speaking to like executing, I think that's like an important thing to kind of discuss. I think that there's a lot of vision in the NFT space and maybe not as much follow through execution, or it doesn't always happen right. We do like to, I wouldn't say we under promise, because we have, we promised a lot of fun stuff and we have a great vision, but we do like to over deliver. We just brought on another dev 2 weeks ago to kind of, boost our, kind of robust contract creation and Solidity side. We've hired 2 other people within the past 3 weeks as well. One a community manager, another who's kind of our now tokenomics lead, who comes from an actuary background, which is kind of it's health insurance modeling, and they do these really kind of complex models on like grand economic scales so that we can, model things out within our economy moving forward. So yeah, we're definitely looking to scale and execute on a lot of these things that we are envisioning for sure.
That's really cool. And I just want to say that I love that you mentioned that you want to underpromise and overdeliver. I'd almost guess that Dion would have coached you maybe because we were talking about this last night because we do a pre-pod meeting. We prepare for these types of episodes, but that's exactly the kind of information that we want to hear, and we appreciate hearing that because I think that that's honestly the right main headspace to be in.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that hype wears off after a while.
And I think we can definitely speak to that at Knights of the Ether as well. We had somewhat of a failed mint back at the end of January, beginning of February. And, we only minted about 15%, but it didn't really change anything for us. We kept our heads down and built a great product and continued on. And we're very transparent that entire time and definitely kind of proved ourselves as being, here for the long term and willing to execute and follow through. And yeah, we definitely hold ourselves to high standards and know that, having all of these people kind of as participants in our ecosystem and spending money on our products, it's definitely a responsibility that we take very highly, definitely.
Yeah, I can even attest. I'm sure some of you listeners are rolling your eyes because you know that I am heavily invested in this project, but I can personally attest that I have appreciated the rollout of all features and user experience upgrades. I remember even seeing in your Discord, Flook, a few people saying like, "Oh, I wish I could like unquest or request all of my squires all at once," and then within like maybe a week or even less. That was implemented within the UI.
We take community feedback super seriously. We have a big patch coming out, within the next 2 or 3 days with a lot of these updates, like a restart quest function that's going to cut gas down like 50% for people who are, questing over and over again. So we try to deliver quickly, but because, there is definitely a pace to this kind of space, but we're not at the expense of quality as well. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I don't want to digress too far because I could definitely talk about communication as well. I think that you all have done a stellar job communicating your updates and being involved with the community. But moving, kind of recentering back onto gameplay. So I know that you talked a lot about partnership quests and things like that. But one of the things that I am also interested in is learning about when the night game will be available, or what kind of milestones you're working towards. Because I know that there's a questing part and then also the deck building part. I assume, maybe incorrectly, that the deck building part might be, I guess, maybe initiated before questing and kind of a lead up to. But that's me just pontificating.
Right. Yeah. So Knights is not as much questing. The deck building is kind of part of, I think, what you're getting at with the questing, which is kind of moving through these 3 acts. For people who are familiar with deck building roguelikes such as Slay the Spire or Rogue Book, these are other kind of like paragons of the genre. We're kind of basing ours heavily upon that, but it's basically a deck building game in the sense that you move through these 3 acts across a kind of map with different nodes or encounters. Some of those are monster fights. Some of those are kind of mystery encounters where you have to make decisions. And some of those are shops where you kind of buy new items. And some of those are resting places where you heal yourself or upgrade the items that you've gotten so far. And at the end of each monster battle, you basically get to choose from rewards, like a card, a potion, or a trinket. And you build your inventory as you go, as you move through those 3 acts by adding cards on. And the roguelike aspect of it is that when you die, you start back from 0 and you don't keep any of that with you. So that's kind of a new idea for the play to earn space. And the way we implement it is that there's, basically no gas fees for this game. It's happening mostly off chain. You're going to kind of query out at the beginning to see what's in your wallet, what your squires have gone and quested and brought back items wise for your inventory, and also to see which knights you own so that you can choose from those knights what their armor pieces are, what their weapon is, and those are kind of items that are kind of your starting kit, your starting buffs when you go off into those 3 acts. But yeah, that's the kind of high level overview of what the deck building game is like. I think anybody who just heard me ramble about it and was like, wait, what is it? Go check out Slay the Spire. That's a pretty close idea of what we're shooting for there. But yeah, timeline wise, we have, we're aiming for this kind of 3-stage rollout, which is late June, our alpha version, late July, our closed beta, and August, our open beta. And so 3 kind of stages. We'll have the community playing and giving feedback throughout all of those stages. What makes these games really good is a lot of about balancing and making sure that, there aren't any cards that are totally broken or items that just don't do anything. And so it is kind of a long haul to get these things balanced. But the kind of superpower we have here for like an NFT play to earn collection is that we already have a community interested in playing and testing our game. And this is kind of what indie game developers would, kill for, is having, 500, 1,000 people there ready to start and play the game and help you balance it right when the first kind of version drops. So that's something that will definitely kind of supercharge our ability to get from an alpha version to a full launch much more quickly than a traditional indie game.
Wow. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I didn't even think about it from a game development perspective, which actually brings us to our next question. How did you get connected to your game developer, which I believe to be an entity called Robot Sea Monster?
Yes, yeah, Robot Sea Monster Games. Yeah, they're awesome. So I just found them through the old Google machine, classic. I basically was searching for indie game developers or game studios in the Bay Area near me, which is where I live outside of San Francisco, because I wanted to, ideally I was hoping to work like closely with them, but they're a more remote kind of thing. But also I was hoping to have someone within the same time zone and, working, in the same area so that would be kind of easier to facilitate. But yeah, we reached out to a few different people and they were the most kind of gung-ho and interested. They were all Slay the Spire fans over there. And they were like, we have these 2 other people hitting us up wanting to build these games. And we were like, they said, we'd much rather build Slay the Spire than Clash of Clans. And so they were really interested in that. They'd already built 2 other blockchain games before, and they'd had a long history of building just Web 2 games and Web 2 software, and a lot of mobile stuff as well, which was always really important for us because there's such a large kind of market share of mobile gamers. And I think the future of mobile gaming is play to earn. So that was really important for us. They kind of checked all the boxes, and they've just been great. So yeah.
There was a mobile game on iOS called Dream Quest that I played like constantly, daily. And it was a deck builder like a Slay the Spire, but very rudimentary. Like the graphics were kind of basic, if you will. Not like super basic, not like pixelated, but basic enough. And it was built in Unity. But I'll tell you, it was one of the most fun games that I played because it was just this weird deck builder. Like you'd select a different class every time you played, and it was roguelike. As soon as you died, you were dead. But
that's cool. I've never heard of that.
And you start again. Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. I don't even know if it's still on iOS because I know the developer got poached by I think Blizzard.
He was doing something right then for sure.
Yeah, but no, it was a lot of fun, and I think it also had like a 3-step kind of like 3 different maps where like you progress through one map and then you got to the next one and then you finally got to the boss map or something like that. But if it's still there, I definitely would check it out. Dream Quest is what it's called.
Cool. Okay, I will for sure.
Nice. And I think one of the last questions, I know that I don't think we've belabored gameplay too much, but one of the last questions about gameplay, how do treasures and magic integrate into the game? Or what do you feel comfortable telling us about?
Right. Yeah, definitely. So treasures integrate in the same way as these kind of trinkets, which are items that if you hold treasures in your wallet already, those will be available in kind of this RNG pool of possible combat drops. So in the same way that there's kind of a core amount of, say, 20 trinkets that are available to drop randomly at the end of each elite or boss battle. If you own these treasures, that kind of expands that RNG pool and gives you the ability to have those drop. They'll be, rare and therefore more powerful within the game. And so owning treasures doesn't necessarily set you up to be better at the game. It gives you a chance for your RNG to be better so that you can have better buffs throughout the game. So it's not like a guaranteed benefit, but it is an assistance to the RNG, basically. And so that's one way they fit into the Knight's Deck Builder. They also fit into the Squire side on the shops. They're kind of a component for our crafting side. There's a lot of games building right now trying to build some like effective sinks for kind of the treasure ecosystem for treasures. And so there's, a small break percentage, but you'll use some of these kind of T4s and T5s to combine with our rings and upgrade those rings or upgrade our trinkets or potions within our shops on the Squire side. So that helps within the inventory as well. And then for Magic, we're doing something pretty cool with Magic. So there's 2 spaces within our deck building game: casual and ranked play. And for ranked play, you're basically going to stake 50 Magic. Don't hold me to the 50 number, but 50 Magic, and you'll get your entry ticket for that month's leaderboard. And so we'll take that Magic that all of our players are giving us, and we're going to go put it in the flywheel with Battlefly, who's our partner, and they'll get us a max, boost percentage for that month. That gets you your entry ticket to the ranked leaderboards. We'll be giving away, IRL prizes, like a full suit of armor is going to be the fun one. We'll give away NFTs from partner collections and our own, and we'll also give away things like Fief and whatever, I think it's 70% of all of those Magic missions that are coming back are going straight into leaderboard prizes as well. So the leaderboard will scale basically prizes wise based off of how many people are buying that entry ticket to those month-long kind of leaderboard sessions.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. It also adds that competitive aspect to, things that we haven't really seen in a lot of P2E realistically. So at least coming from, a treasure basis. And I feel like incorporating that competitive aspect, having that leaderboard being added within the game, it's definitely going to drive people to, continue to play that game because in the end, the harder you grind, I guess, the more rewards you get to reap off of it. So I really like that concept. I think that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, that's always been kind of crucial for like coming from my background. I've always like played games competitively. I was drawn more to PvP games mostly, but I thought having a PvE game with this kind of competitive leaderboard element would be really fun. And also it'll just create such an amazing space in the Discord or on Twitter, or just in general for people to really strategize out and, for us to reward skill and strategy, as well as rewarding casual players who may just play the casual side and want to farm for things or play through and earn fief and things like that. So yeah, I'm most interested in the ranked side as a person who loves, playing competitive games, but we are thinking about both sides. Like, hey, how can someone who just owns the assets and wants to kind of earn passively, how can they do that and play maybe, one game a week on the casual side? Or how can we have someone who's totally sweaty and wants to play 10 hours a day on the ranked side and have both of those kind of audiences be served equally? Yeah.
That's great. I also think it's really clever, your integration of the treasure NFTs. I think it's wise on your part to set it up how you have, so it increases RNG chance, so it incentivizes you as a player to own treasures, but it doesn't completely reduce your chance if you don't have treasures. Because the last thing you want to do is require your players to go out and purchase or grind for this other NFT that is not necessarily a part of your like main original project.
Yeah,
Obviously,
that's a really good point. We basically want to make it easy for Bridge World participants to come in and play our game, but we don't want to have this high barrier of entry where people who are just finding our game through just the basic mobile version and maybe just own one Knight and one Squire, having it be a high barrier of entry of, oh, they have to go buy, a donkey and a honeycomb to even be competitive or whatever. So yeah, we're trying to kind of look at it from both angles, basically.
we've talked about the current timeline for the Knights game launch, and I know that you've talked about scaling your team in terms of you've hired a dev. I think just like 2 weeks ago you mentioned. One of the things that we wanted to also ask about was your marketing efforts. I know that this was a question in your FAQ. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what marketing you have done and what marketing you plan to do in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so that's a really big part of a success of a game like this is attracting a large enough user base for it to be sustainable and, kind of engaging long term. Especially for the ranked side, the more people we have playing and engaged, the better it'll be. So we have a lot on the docket for marketing, and we have kind of shied away from doing so much marketing up until now because we felt like we wanted to have a lot of the art and a lot of the assets for the deck building game, kind of, the main meat of our ecosystem and collection finished before we started marketing, because that's where we feel like we'll really get the most bang for our buck and sharing kind of these, beautiful art assets we've got done through this AAA, game art studio, Volta, who's been great. So we are working with some marketing agencies. We're in talks with a few right now before we kind of go with one here starting over the next month to kind of roll out our game in the same way that an indie game would be rolled out. So we're marketing from a game perspective instead of from an NFT collection perspective. And obviously we're including marketing that's targeted towards NFT holders and NFT enthusiasts and play to earn enthusiasts, but we're also doing a lot to target just mobile gamers and fans of the deck building roguelike genre. We're trying to kind of do our part on behalf of the play to earn ecosystem and bring gamers in to try our product. And so a big part of that is going to be creating the mobile version of our game and marketing it like any other mobile game. And you can go in, you can play in the practice version. You don't need a knight or a squire to play. You're not going to be earning fief, but you'll be able to play our game like it's a regular game. And at the end of that game, whether it's when you die in Act 2 or at the end when you beat the third boss, it'll say, hey, here's how much fief you could have earned. And just something simple like that to see people be like, hey, I just spent an hour and a half playing this game. Maybe I should go check out what I could get if I went and maybe bought one knight for, however much money it is, or maybe I go into the armory and do what's called our Sentry system, which is similar to Axie's scholarship system, where you just rent out a knight, for a day and play with it to earn a portion of that fief. We want to kind of get people coming from the game side as well as from the NFT side. So a lot of our marketing is going to be centered around both of those kind of angles. And then something really cool, and this is a little bit of alpha actually, that we haven't shared yet. We're hiring this person who's kind of, I guess their role would be called like a game master or like a puppet master. And they run these kind of viral marketing campaigns. I don't know if you guys have heard of like alternate reality games like Cicada 3301 or other stuff like that. So yeah, we're working on, what we're doing is we're giving him direction and lore and all of the kind of info about our game. And then we're letting him go off and create this ARG through Twitter, through Discord, through websites, so that us team members, we won't know any of the actual clues or like answers to puzzles. So that way we don't get hit up in Discord 24/7, give us the goods, give us the goods. But we're kind of, winding him up with all of the lore and what we want to accomplish with it. And he's going to go off and run this, what's called an alternate reality game that should be spread out across a lot of different Twitter profiles, within a lot of different Discords, a lot of different websites. Kind of an alternate reality game is kind of this multi-medium kind of rabbit hole or treasure hunt across the internet. And so we're setting something up like that to hopefully bring in a lot of L1 users into the treasure ecosystem and into the Knights of the Ether ecosystem more specifically.
That's super innovative. Yeah. So I don't know if this is too much of a digression, but could we talk about what Cicada 331 or 3301 is briefly? I'm familiar with the name. That's about it.
Cicada, I don't know. I'm not super in depth on it. I've studied a little bit. I would never participated, but it was kind of, I think it started back in 2011 or 2012, and they did 3 or 4 years of it. But it was basically a group of people who dropped these kind of clues on the internet that said, oh, we're recruiting the brightest minds, and we've laid puzzles across the internet, and if you figure them out, there's rewards at the end or whatever it was. And it was very secretive and very kind of mysterious. And so there was a lot of concurrent players each year trying to solve these puzzles or kind of going down this rabbit hole across the internet. And we're kind of doing Cicada 3301 light because, we're not, info security professionals, and we're not doing any like sort of, hiding stuff in the source code or whatever it is. But we're doing a kind of rabbit hole multimedium game based off of kind of Arthurian or medieval kind of knights lore.
I think that's an incredible concept, and I know that I really do enjoy things like that. So I'm very much looking forward to participating.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds wicked. That is like something that, as much as I'm not good at solving puzzles, that is definitely something that like I love looking at, and I just really love the whole strategy and the kind of this passive suspense that's kind of builds up to it, and I think that's going to be really really cool. And coming just from a community perspective, I think that's just going to make the community a lot tighter as well. Having different people work together, having the community work together, trying to solve whatever clues or whatever rabbit holes there may be in the game, and at the same time, just venturing further into the game as a whole. And I think it's gonna be really, really cool. And I definitely feel like the people that you have behind this are gonna be smart and really intellectual guys that are gonna be creating really cool rabbit holes as well. But I'm stoked. I think that's gonna be really cool because this is something that I was kind of looking for within a game, specifically to come within Treasure as well. And I'm excited to see that someone's actually doing something like this because personally, I feel like there's a lot of people who are smart in Treasure, and there's a lot of great minds just working within this space, and I feel like it's just good to put their brains to work. So I think this is going to be awesome. I think it's going to be really really exciting to see.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, we're really excited about it. It's gonna be great. I'm pumped.
Well, I think the last question that we really wanted to ask you is, this is your first NFT project. So do you have interested in creating other games or sequels to Knights of the Ether or additional NFT projects? I mean, I know talking about the future probably sounds daunting considering how much you have on your hands right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely like to focus what's in front of me, kind of one step at a time. Um, I don't envision myself ever working on another NFT collection. I envision myself building out what we've started here at Knights of the Ether and expanding that, and adding in future characters like rogues as our second planned character, and that'll be a playable. It'll be an NFT collection, but it'll also be a playable character with its own deck within the deck building game. Kind of expanding that way. And maybe way in the future, we've talked about some fun stuff like a Knights kind of 3D fighting game, or like a VR Knights arena type thing. We're definitely looking to build more on the IP we've created instead of going off and doing something else. Yeah.
Incredible. I honestly do love to hear that, and I'm so excited for the future of this project. Breaker or Alum, do either of you guys have any more questions?
I just want to say that I can't wait for your game too. I probably say this almost on every podcast, but I think that right now, play to earn being just a point and click and wait kind of situation is not exactly the most entertaining. You still get that what they call dopamine hit when you're revealing your treasures after sending your legions to quests, because I play Bridge World a lot. But I want to see more interactive playable games, where I'm actually playing a game, not just kind of clicking on something. So I'm excited. I hope to see you guys deliver on this project for sure.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm with you there. We're definitely, I think play to earn has a lot to evolve from. The where it's at right now is really cool, but I think where it can go is just kind of sky's the limit. And here at Knights of the Ether, we're definitely kind of looking to do this kind of fun first mentality. Have people come back and play our video game. If they can earn a little bit on top of that, that's great as well. But we're trying to, just make a fun game first.
That seems exciting too, and seeing the first mobile game on Treasure, I feel like it's going to be very very big, and definitely going to be kind of changing just the whole ground space of just again the future of, as you were saying, just P2E in general. And just respect to you guys in the team for being so bold and putting yourselves out there and trying to do a lot of things what I guess a lot of other developers or just game builders themselves wouldn't even try doing. And, just kind of wanted to stay within their own mere line. So, respect to you guys in the team. Kudos to you guys for, going out and actually having the guts to go and try something like this. It's definitely not easy to, incorporate just the entire DeFi, and on top of that, just integration mechanics, and, actually making a game that's exciting and having people to want to continue to play it as well. It's definitely not an easy thing to do. So I have much respect for you guys on there.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, we definitely have our work cut out for us, but we're excited about what we're building and what the future holds for sure.
Well, Fluke, I wanted to give you an opportunity to have the floor one more time in case there's anything that you wanted to say about Knights of the Ether that you felt like we didn't do justice at any point in this conversation, or if any questions that we didn't ask. If not, I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, that's fine. I'm sure I'll listen back to this podcast in a week from now and be like, oh, shoot, I should have mentioned something right here, but that's okay. I think you guys covered so much. We kind of went through everything in a nice kind of fluid manner. We got to touch on both sides of the project, what's happening in the future, marketing plans, all that good stuff. So yeah, I'd like to just say, thank you guys for running a podcast like this and creating this space to kind of share information, a more kind of long form content for the Magic and Treasure ecosystem. I think it's great what you guys are doing, and it really, it adds a lot to our space to have, projects like this that you guys are doing. So thank you.
Well, thank you for that for sure. And I also would like to say that when I listen to our podcasts, kind of during the editing process, I'm like, oh, I wish I had asked this question, or I wish we talked about this topic. So you're not alone there. There's only so many things that we can remember to bring up or talk about. But Flook, it was great having you on the pod. You are, I would say, one of the most personal people we've spoken to, and that's not to put any of our other guests down, but you seem to have kind of the charisma for this type of format, and it was really enjoyable to hear you talk. You explained everything pretty well. So thank you for that, and thank you for joining. And I think I'm going to look into Knights of the Ether a bit more now, and I want to know more about it now.
Definitely. After I heard more about that strategy building and the rabbit holes, that has definitely caught my eye on it. So I'm definitely going to take more look on this as well. And again, as everyone already said it, thank you for taking out the time, especially as you being the first founder on the podcast as well. Obviously, being a founder is no easy feat. You guys have tons of stuff to do, and appreciate you for taking the time and hopping on the podcast and having a chat with us, honestly.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. This has been great. Very honored to be the first founder here. So thanks so much for inviting me on.
And that concludes another episode of Magic Hour, friends. If you like what you hear, please like and subscribe to our YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you can listen to your podcasts. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magic Hour Pod. All the links are found on our link tree, which is in the show notes. From all of us, we appreciate your support for Bridge World.